hear his perspective because he was in it. Obviously that's his job. He's the registrar. So, he would know firsthand. But I just remember, pretty much a year ago, just being like, oh my gosh, what are we going to do if it really does shut down? What if there's a crash? What's going on? Do we really trust virtual, life? So it'll be interesting to hear his sort of perspective on that.
Yeah, the adaptation that I think the real estate market, that's just a really good point. So like, I remember at the very beginning of COVID, and it does seem like forever ago. I don't even think 2020 just flew by. I guess not for a lot of people, but for me, it really just seemed to I just don't know where the year went. But I remember being really scared that the registry was just going to close. So if the registry closes, all real estate transactions essentially stop and or get delayed. So the registry's ability to adapt and make sure that didn't happen, because it just would have been so megally impactful to the real estate market, I think was just huge. So gaining that perspective and kind of understanding how they took that on, I think would be really nice, and how they're going about their new day to day. Because one of the things that I don't know, I mean, almost all of the closings that we're a part of and or are helping our clients through are being conducted either virtually, electronically now. So I'm not even 100% sure if the registry is open to the public anymore, even now. It has to be open in some capacity for, maybe paralegals or runners from, attorneys' offices and certain personnel, I would presume, but to the general public, I'm not sure if it is open. So hopefully he can answer that question for us.
Yeah, I know Dustin sent him another link to get on, but I do want to reiterate, just because I just got a text message from somebody. John Buckley is the Plymouth County Register of Deeds. That is not the RMV. It's not where you go and get your, driver's test and all that stuff. So someone had reached out to me and was asking me to ask, how they're going about doing, permits and doing your driver's test. I don't know. I feel like I got my driver's license about 100 years ago. I did fail the first time though, but second time, I think they felt bad for me. So
I love that.
Yeah, and now they're saying thanks for not throwing me under the bus. So I won't reveal who. It's not.
I want to take a guess. Can I take a guess?
It's not actually.
Okay.
Not my mom. But yeah. So he is the Is it registrar?
He's the register.
Register. So like a cash register. Okay. So Plymouth County Register of Deeds. I always want to say registrar. Is that a word?
It is. I don't know. I thought the same thing earlier when I was typing stuff up. So I don't blame you.
Yeah, when I was doing the promotion, I was like, is it registrar? That's why I think when you came into my office, I was looking literally at a picture of him up and looking him up on the website. But yeah, so he will be joining us tonight. Sharon, how's the Facebook going over there?
Yeah, I'm working on it.
Okay.
So since we don't have John here, we can bring up another topic. I don't know if one of us texted him. I sent him the link again too. So unfortunately, he may be having some difficulties with everything that's going on. I mean, not that everything is going on, but I don't know what's going on. But if we can't get him tonight, we'll certainly have him again next week. So this is where live radio comes handy, and we can just ask everybody, hey, what do you want us to talk about right now?
I know. So if you really want to give us a shout out, you can give us a call at the studio. Again, the phone number is 781-837-4900, or you can text my personal cell phone number. Give us something, because I'm on it. So we can sort of go over what do you think from each of our perspective, like how do you think the real estate market went from our perspective last year? Like if you were to recap the year, maybe in a sentence or something, what would you say about the market last year? Who wants to go first?
I go first.
Somebody please.
I go first because I'm the first alphabetically. It was crazy. So if you're giving me one word, I'm gonna say crazy. And I don't mean that from a negative perspective at all. It is, I mean, to reiterate what we've been saying on the radio show for some time, it's an incredibly difficult market to be in if you are a buyer. It's incredibly competitive. It's incredibly fierce and tumultuous, and there's a lot of turmoil there. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It could not be a better time as a seller, period. So again, if you're thinking of selling your house, please really consider it, really put it on the market. There are a lot of buyers out there for you. And don't be scared. It's not a painful process. Even with COVID, it's almost, it sounds terrible to say, but it is the new norm. And it's like it's a non-thing anymore. Everybody knows you come in, you use your hand sanitizer, you have your mask on, you stay 6 feet apart. You know, people are very respectful of all of that. So that the real estate market has really adapted, or the real estate industry I should say has adapted. But,
on both sides of the transaction, it's funny, you get everyone's best behavior. You're certainly going to act like someone who should get the house, or vice versa. You are going to make sure the house is as presentable as possible.
Well, to that point, I love that you just said that. Tomorrow, we are actually going to show a client a property out in Foxborough, and the seller is going to be there. The seller is actually the person who's conducting the showing. So our clients were a little hesitant about it, saying like, "Oh, is that going to be a little weird?" Which, yes, I 1000% agree that it is a little weird. However, it's a great opportunity to make the best impression upon and put a face to a buyer in a multiple offer situation. So I am going to very much be introducing them and shining a nice little light on them and all these nice personal details, how amazing our clients are. So I'm kind of excited.
Just to piggyback off of that, I don't mean to cut you off, but one of our agents in our office, Nadine Halal, she had a condo in Dedham, and she actually, obviously she's a full-time real estate agent here at Boston Connect Real Estate, and is actually a team member with Donna Bagney, who has been here since the beginning of time with Boston Connect. Not the beginning of time, but we had John, but now we've lost John again. But she sold her condo, and Donna actually helped her purchase it a couple of years ago, but she sold her condo, and I had asked her, you know, while you were doing the open house, because I think she only ended up having to do one, she did receive an offer, and it has already sold. You know, I said, you know, were people sort of weird about you like being not only the realtor but the seller, and you were conducting the open house? And she's like, no, actually everyone absolutely loved it, like, or at least they told me that they did, because they really were able to like ask me questions about the neighborhood, and like I knew firsthand, like, oh, you know, yeah, trash day is this and this is what's included, and like of course I would know what's included in the fees because she was selling a condo, because she's been paying them for the past couple of years, like, you know, and she would know firsthand about assessments, and she, you know, and people actually liked it. But the thing that she did find a little strange was, you know, people just randomly showing up at all times, like during the day and at night while she's trying to eat dinner, and someone's like, hello, can I get in? And she's like, I think they thought that just because I was the realtor, like that I was just going to open my home up at all times. But but yeah, so just off of what you said, Mary, about your showing tomorrow, they all seemed to be fine with it, because they were able to ask, you know, certain questions and felt comfortable with her. But I don't know anybody who wouldn't be comfortable with Nadine. I mean, she's the nicest person I've ever met on this planet. So, you know, she's definitely motherly and comforting. So I wouldn't think anything other than that for her open house. But that was just something that popped into my head when you said that.
Oh, what about you guys? What do you think? How do you feel this year went, or last year, 2020, from a real estate perspective?
I know I'm alphabetically last, but
you have a different perspective on it too, so you see everything.
Yeah, working in the office, I would definitely say I was surprised, actually. I think my word is surprised, because when I was reviewing the year-end numbers with Sharon, even she was surprised with what I sort of reported back to her. I mean, the office did amazing. We did better as an office than the year before without a pandemic and without the panic and, without the sort of unknown. And, last year, even the open houses that I did do and the open houses that I did with you, Mary, is like we still anticipated a lot of people coming. And so we needed more than one person. Sharon, you and I did a 6-hour open house, and it wasn't just because we were trying to distance people, it's because the demand was there. And that was sort of a higher priced home too. So we were a little surprised with that, but I guess, yeah, my word is surprise. We had a great year as an office. I'll do it from the office perspective. We had a great year, strong numbers. Everyone, exceeded their goals as an agent, as a team at our office. And, we're just so proud of them. And we're going to be recognizing them next week at our office meeting. And, I definitely would say that I was surprised because I was nervous. But I love to be surprised, I guess, because it's better than, I guess, the alternative.
Did we just hear a doorbell again? Did John try again to get in?
John is here, but I don't see his video.
Okay. Hey, John, you're muted.
While we are trying to get John on, I have gotten quite a few questions from people. I don't know if we want to start to ask
why don't we do that while we're waiting for John to come on? That's a good idea.
Do you currently believe that it is a buyer's market or a seller's market?
Sellers. Oh, sorry. I should have waited my turn. I felt like it was like Jeopardy or like Family Feud. I had to say it really quick. Seller. Yeah. Why is that? It's the reduced inventory, low interest rates, and no inventory. I mean, we can't say it enough. Sellers really have all the power in these situations. Okay.
And Dustin we talked about this overall, about how much, I mean, we were in a situation where we had low inventory anyways. And then we got the pandemic, and I called the pandemic an epidemic the other day, whatever. So then we had the pandemic, and we got even lower inventory.
Yeah, with COVID, new construction really didn't stop because they were considered an essential worker. So most new construction the build process didn't stop. However, I think what a lot of people don't realize with that is manufacturing and some big manufacturing and warehouses and things, those they stopped producing. So suppliers stopped producing, or manufacturing stopped manufacturers. And then sellers, your regular everyday seller, was terrified to come on the market and open their home to people because of COVID. So that currently all of those compounding issues create the market that we're currently in.
Yeah. So that's in the market that we're currently in. So we have somebody asking, where do you see the real estate a year from now, or is it too hard to tell? So I guess another way to ask the question is, do you sort of, I don't know, go through real estate or work through, real estate year by year, or do you try to project sort of where the market is going?
Somebody else?
You
want me to hit the buzzer again?
No, I think it's a little easier for us to forecast in the sense that, regardless of what happens, being in the area we're in, even if you're looking over the last 5 years and certainly over the next year, the sellers are still going to have a lot of pull. There's, we're not going to all of a sudden have a tremendous boom in availability or land. There's no major, again, if you're comparing it to like the Midwest or the Southeast or anywhere, there's just sprawling land ready to be built on. It's not going to happen up here. So things are never going to drastically switch. And like we've talked about it before, the idea of a seller's or buyer's market, it's not a concrete line. There's a gray area, and we never really get towards that buyer side. So what someone in New England might assume feels like a buyer's market, probably actually isn't.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
I don't
think-
know, Sharon, you might be able to speak to this a little bit. Like, when do you feel the last time we were truly in a buyer's market was?
Oh, gosh. Buyer's market, I would say it brings me back to 2010, 2009, 2011. That was when we hit the bottom, and there was a lot of short sales there. I mean, there was so much competition for sellers at that time. So it wasn't just like, oh, there were so many people that were selling because of being in the recession, losing their jobs. It was just a really terrible, terrible time. So we had a lot of those people who were selling. And you have to remember, right before we went into that decline, it was a great market, and people were selling their houses built. You heard the term McMansions, right?
Oh, yeah,
When that came in 2004, 2005, that's when those were all being built, those big McMansions. So, all those people, and people had the ability to have two houses at that time, building that big McMansion and have their other house on this, too. And, people were just losing their houses, and a lot of houses were coming on the market. The struggle that we had then was a lot of them were short sale situations. And you know what? I think John is trying to call me. So why don't you guys take over? I'm going to mute myself. Okay.
Okay. So hopping on that question, Melissa, so remind me where, if we had a crystal ball, would we say that the next year in real estate is going?
Where do you see real estate going in a year from now, or is it too hard to tell? Do you take it year by year, or are we the type of people who project and sort of guess and anticipate what's going to happen in the next few years?
Yeah, go ahead, Justin.
I guess I could say I certainly wouldn't speak for anyone, but making predictions like that is not a great thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
In regard to, even if a client were to say, hey, I possibly want to list right now, but do you think it'll be in a better spot a year from now? Anyone with the answer for that question is wrong, in the sense it's too hard to tell. It's, you can have your thoughts, and that's the thing is, half the time you're going to be right and half the time you're going to be wrong, but you're asking a lot to be able to pinpoint, where we're going to be at in comparison to today.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think using the crystal ball scenario, like nobody has a crystal ball. And if I could look at it and tell you what the market was going to look like in a year, that would be great. However, based off of what we're seeing, I would say 2020 or 2021 is going to be just as strong.
And then you could always find a few points that, maybe you're more confident forecasting, like interest rates. I think they're going to remain low for the remainder of the year, but I don't think they're going to continuously get historically lower than they have. So, you would probably be in a safe bet to say that buyers are probably going to lose a little purchasing power, not necessarily be able to afford as much in regards to the mortgages they're getting. And that would probably be a good place to start to kind of assess where you are.
We do have Sean Buckley on the line for you guys.
John,
sorry about
Sharon, you're muted. John, can you hear us?
Hello? Yes, I can hear you.
Oh, hi,
Hey, how are
John.
Yeah, no, sorry about that. I was working from home today and did something to my Zoom connection, so I apologize about that.
No worries.
No worries. Well, we're glad that we sort of figured it out, that you could call the studio.
Yeah, no, the old old-fashioned way, I guess,
Well, so we finally have John Buckley joining us, and he again is the Plymouth County Register of Deeds. Dustin, I'm going to let you take over this part because I know you worked hard on this sort of introduction. So why don't you introduce John?
Yeah, we'll jump right into it. John, a lot of deep ties in Plymouth County and the South Shore. I know he was a BC High grad. He did Phillips Exeter, Tufts, New England School of Law. Spent a lot of time in the South Shore as well, a lot in Brockton. I know he was the assistant city solicitor, administrative assistant for the mayor. I know he was a legislative assistant to Congressman Brian Donnelly down in DC.
Wow.
And if I remember correctly, John, you became the Register of Deeds in 2000?
I got elected in 2000.
In 2000, yes. And prior to that, spent some time with the Board of Plymouth County Commissioners, including a stint as the chairman.
John, that's like more than I've known about you all my life. The one thing,
Impressive resume.
Every time I used to come on your show, Sharon, would always be around St. Patrick's Day. We never get off our notable Irishmen in Plymouth County.
I know. Well, I said that to Dustin probably 3 times. I was like, ask him about notable deeds. Ask him.
Oh,
and
right.
he didn't know what it meant,
Right.
so I showed him what it was. But John, one of the fun things and interesting things about the registry itself is, obviously you're not having people going in and out just to tour it, I'm sure, right now. But
Right.
the beautiful building that you had, and I have done tours in there before. But one of the interesting facts that I remember that you told me is, aren't there like several past registers of deed? Weren't they all named John? Like, what's the story with that?
Well, actually, we count, my predecessor is going all the way back to William Bradford to some degree. He was the first person that was responsible for land records in Plymouth Colony. Certainly a Plymouth Colony that hasn't been celebrated very well. But my predecessor was a fellow by the name of John Reardon, and he served in office for 23 years.
Mm-hmm.
The family that served the longest time was the Cotton family. They served between the family members 130 years together.
Wow, that is interesting. How long are you staying with us? Are you retiring anytime soon?
Yeah, since 1620, I'm the 22nd Register of Deeds, so registers seem to serve a long period of time. And I just got reelected last election, so I'm here for a while. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Awesome. Well, I actually like it that way. I just, you've always been so good and gracious to come on the radio show, and you've been good to Boston Connect since we've opened. So I really appreciate that. We lost a little bit of time here just at the beginning of the show. We filled it with fluff, but do you want to give us, an update on Plymouth County and how everything went in 2020? But most importantly, leave a little time at the end because I want your bold prediction for 2021.
Okay. Well, clearly, as you all know, real estate comes in cycles. I was around for the refinance boom in the 2003 and 4 and the crash in 2007 and 8. And we're in a very weird time right now for the registry in this COVID issue. We have not had any members of the general public in since March. We have 3 offices, as you all know. We have our main office in Plymouth, our satellite office in Brockton and Rockland. And since the restrictions, we have had drop boxes in each of the three offices. And we've done an incredible amount of documents through e-recording. In fact, this year, 2020, this past year, had the highest number of documents recorded despite the pandemic since 2006.
Wow. Well, that's good then. I mean, so real estate is still pretty active or very active.
It was a very, very strong year. People found their way to navigate around the problems. I will say our deeds for 2020 were up 3%, but our mortgages were up 46%. The number of refis and the number of refis continuing are just incredible. But, sale values are up. It's really difficult time to be a first-time home buyer, but I know you are all working very closely with them, and it just it's a season of the haves and the haves not. There are many people that have been unaffected by COVID, but there are a lot of people who have been extremely tough in terms of the impact on them. And that's something that we hope it starts to turn around in 2021, I'm sorry.
Right. One of the things that you were saying, John, and I love this whole roundtable and the thoughts of it, because as you're talking, I'm thinking of different things. And I guess as I'm writing my notes, I never really did this correlation before, but it makes sense. So the inventory, as you know, is very low, and that's why we're getting multiple offers and everything. But with you saying that the mortgages are up 46% because they're all the refinances, think about that. All those people who decided to refinance rather than sell their house. And a lot of people, I went to people's houses this year and did CMAs. And the question I was getting is, the rates are so great. We really love where we are. We're thinking about either selling and getting a house that's bigger or putting an addition on the house. So I bet a big percentage of that 46% actually did do some cash out refis and just made the home that they were living in bigger or whatever it was that they needed versus selling and buying a new one.
Yeah, clearly there's a lot of people that I have run into that even if they sold their home, they were unsure what they would get to replace it. And I think that's caused a lot of hesitancy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
Thus, making the inventory even smaller than we began the year with,
And how are you seeing things sort of like month to month? Like when you look last year, did you see similarities of like when things were higher or lower or anything? Because I know for us last year, we were doing pretty well in January, February. It was a very mild winter. Then the Patriots got kicked out pretty soon. So we didn't have to worry about all the football games as much. So we were busy until COVID hit, and then we sort of slowed down. But because we were so busy in January and February, we saw a lot of our closings in April.
Yeah, I think it's just been a very strange year. The people that have moved in many cases, and I've had the same conversations with fellow registers in Norfolk and Barnstable County. People are moving to different kinds of spaces to try to work from home. And I saw an article in one of today's papers that said, 1 out of 3 people that have been working remotely will not expect to work out of a home again.
Out of a home again or an office again?
Yeah.
They will never work except from their home again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've been seeing that a lot. I think we talked about this on a couple shows ago, is about, businesses finding it easier to have like people working from home and like realizing like their whole business like it could survive virtually. So that's why a lot of the places in major cities are sort of experiencing people not wanting to renew leases or get out of leases or anything, because they can sort of work remotely and move their business remotely.
I'm going to bring up a funny tidbit as you were talking about that, because if you think about it, all these big companies and everybody working from home. I remember talking to somebody and they were just saying, yeah, I can't believe like how much money I'm actually spending on toilet paper now and paper towels and like all of these other, like, because you're home all the time now, you're not working at the office. So a lot of these companies are probably saving a little bit in their office supplies expense. But that was very random. I'm sorry, John. I go there.
No, clearly, I have friends that work for WB Mason. The office supply businesses are really facing some challenges, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that. I mean, it's a trickle down effect. It really is.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
So what about some predictions? Do you have some predictions for next year? Do you think, I mean, for this year, do you think we're going to sort of, stay the same? Do you think the new administration is going to help continue to keep the rates low for everybody? What are your thoughts?
Well, I have watched Janet Yellen on a number of interviews and was confirmed as Secretary of the Treasury. They need to make sure that the economy starts to come back. They're looking to infuse money into the economy. I can't imagine that we're going to have a steep drop off in real estate. I think there's a lot of people still, despite the fact that they refinanced and did some remodeling, are looking to downsize or upsize, and they've really been frozen in place. So I do expect, as we get into 2021 and start to come out of all the restrictions, we're going to have a lot more people that want to make a move. I really do.
And we do a lot of new construction, John, and we're seeing, I mean, Mary had an open house, 2 weeks ago, and had 14 groups of people come through, and
right.
It's, so we know that there are a lot of buyers out there. I think one of the things that will maybe help with inventory is maybe with some of the towns, like sort of loosening their restrictions a little bit. I just think it's so difficult for the builders and, with the engineering and the processes and how long it takes to actually get a development going, because if we don't have that new construction, and it seems like, the boomers who are leaving their 4-bedroom colonials, they want to go to something beautiful, with the granite and, the 1-level ranch. There's none of those to go to. So,
especially ranches, we need a whole development of ranches.
Yeah, I do think there's an issue out there throughout our area for first-time home buyers, and even the properties just aren't available to them for what we used to call starter homes. I think that's a great difficulty for. They're building so many apartments in all of our communities, and the number of first-time home buying opportunities to own property has really not kept up with the pace necessary. And there's certainly a lot of children, not so much children in their 20s, that have come home to work from home in their parents' homes that should be first-time home buyers. And it's just difficult to see without creating more housing opportunities how that's going to happen.
Yeah, I sort of call it sort of like a funnel effect, and it's almost like, somebody put a cork in at the top, and those, the small ranches, the first time home buyers are in those. They want to buy that 4-bedroom colonial, but our boomer generation and above who have those can't sell them because there's nowhere to go, and they can't even go back to the ranch because they're not coming on the market. So it's like, who came first, the chicken or the egg type scenario. But we do know, like, we had a client call us this week, and this is how it's working for real estate agents now is, we had a client call us this week that is moving, that lived in Abington, moved down to South Carolina, thought it was going to be easy enough to just hop on a plane, come back and forth to see family. Now that isn't possible. They're seniors, so they don't want to do that. And a 2-day drive is not appealing to anybody. And now they want to come back and they want to be down the Cape so that, they can be close to family and things like that. I just happened to be in a class last week, and the woman was talking about, a woman was in the class and said that she was going to be putting her house down the Cape on the market. And it was like, I called the person who was heading up the class. I was like, I need to talk to the woman selling her house down the Cape. So I actually had a conversation with her today, and it would be perfect for her. But that might be, I mean, you're still seeing those deeds. So are those included in your 20% increase?
Yeah, no. Well, our sale increase year to year was 3%. The percentage of the sale price went up 14% over the course of the year.
14%.
Yeah.
From our numbers and our comparisons.
Yeah, everything increased from 2019 to 2020.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So for our listeners, you are listening to Talk Real Estate Roundtable on WATD. We have Mr. John Buckley with us. He is the Register of Deeds at Plymouth County. He is wonderful. Been on his TV show. He's been on our show for years. We really appreciate all of his knowledge and insight into everything. Very, very smart. We're very fortunate to have you sort of the captain of our ship down there in Plymouth. It's a good place for you, I guess. Right?
Right.
And I know your website has a lot of great information, and I know the assistant register of deeds, does he still put out that report as well?
We do. We do a monthly newsletter. We do a radio show in ATD every month, and I do a monthly cable show. We're at 123 this month, doing one a month, and just try to share as much information as we can. I will say one of the benefits we had this year was that we are one of the registries that have gotten almost all of our resources available online for people to research. The title examiners have access to all that information from atlases, every document from the founding of Plymouth County in 1685 forward. And, that really makes a difference when people can just go search the site. We do have a training room that we always use to bring people in to learn how to efficiently search the site, and obviously that's been closed. However, we will open it up as soon as we start to open up. We're looking at by the time the vaccines are available, we'll start to navigate people to work in the building.
Well, I think that your employees should be considered essential, and they should be at the top of the list as well to get that vaccine right away. I'm hoping you hadn't had to lay anybody off based on what's going on, because I mean, you still have everything going through e-file, so the processes are still the same for the recordings, correct?
Yeah, I do. Yes, I do have to compliment my staff, because when we hit that number in 2006, that was the highest over 20 years. We had 61 employees. In 2020, we had 35. So you can see the impact of what the cuts have been over the years,
Wow. Yeah, they are, honestly, they're just the best to work with.
Yeah. So I really take my hat off to that,
With that, John, if you have any job opportunities, where would somebody go to look for jobs with the
we have a personnel department. They can look that up online and get an application in, and opportunities do come up, and we advise people that are interested to submit an application. And as things go, we take a look at people's experience and bring people into pre-interview. We're not the highest paying operation in America, but
but you're essential to the economy, so people can be part of something a little bit bigger, right?
And public businesses have definitely good benefits. There's no question about that.
Oh, maybe I'll apply, John. Will you take me? Can I get an interview?
With all your spare time.
John, can you give everybody? All right, we have 30 seconds left, John. Again, we have Mr. John Buckley with us, who's the Register of Deeds in Plymouth County. Very, very kind for you to join us. How can people get to that website that you were talking about, John, if they want to get more information?
Yeah, so our website is PlymouthDeeds.org. And when you go onto the site, and there's a place you can just click search records, and you'll be able to get an option of criteria search all the way from all our plans, the atlases, documents from 1685 forward, and all the way back to the county colonial records. And
we're gonna get in trouble, John. They're gonna shut us off. It's 3 o'clock news. Bye, John. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Ben. Bye, everybody. I feel like I'm gonna get in trouble by Ben because we didn't do it at 7 o'clock.
This is going to allow millions.
Ben, sorry. We're still on Facebook.
We're still on Facebook.
Yeah, I know. How do I do that?
That was a question from one of our clients, just as an FYI.
Oh, jobs.
Yeah.